You know, in fishing, one of the most important things to do is to be able to control the depth of your lure, to be able to put it right in front of the fish. Now, there's lots of ways to do that. With crankbait, you kind of crank the bait in and it goes down to a depth that you want, to where the fish may be at to be able to catch one. Or you may be jigging off the bottom and working something from the bottom up. But you know, once in a while, you need to be, when you get right on the fish, you know the depth they are, you want to put something right in front of the nose and entice them. And sometimes the difficulty of that is to be able to keep a bait in front of them, don't matter what the conditions are. Now, here's a unique technique called the drop shot. Now, some of you already know about it and have used it and found good success with it. But if you haven't, I'm going to take you through some of the steps that will really help you to understand what the drop shot's all about. There's not much to it. There's a hook and a bait, and it's all done on one line. So the unique thing about it, now this happens to be, I got one line, a reel set up here with the rod, and I got the hook set up. Now this is a drop shot hook. Now the one thing about a drop shot hook, you want the hook to come out 90 degrees from your line. So you don't need a drop shot hook, but it really aids in keeping that 90 degrees out from your line. And if you look at that in there, you can see where the worm in this case is out to the side of the hook as the bait goes down. The other unique feature on the hook is it has a little loop on the bottom that you put your line through that holds that straight out. So when it's in the water, it's straight out like that with the bait on the bottom. The other unique part on it, although you can use any kind of bait, one of the good control parts of it is using a bait that you can slide up and down on the line. That way, if you say I'm dropping it down and I see fish on my depth finder and only about a foot and a half off the bottom, well, I may want to put that at 18, 19, 20 inches, and I'll make that 20 inches from the end of my lure to my bait. That way, when I'm fishing it directly down below the boat, I know exactly where my lure is. Now, you can cast this out and bring it back, but typically it's most effective when you have that depth control right at directly below the boat. So it's really, really well to use it when you're in like 25 or 30 feet of water. That way you can drop it down there right in front of the nose. Now, you can use this for bass, you can use this for walleye, just about any fish that swims. It's a real finesse bait. You don't cover a lot of water with this. You usually find a fish or you see them on the graft and you're feeling pretty comfortable where they are. That's when you take out the drop shot, drop it down there and give them a shot. It's up and down, just wriggle it. When you do, you wriggle that like this little worm will move around. Now, it can be a worm, it can be a straight tail, it can be a variety of things that you like. It can be a little sacral. It doesn't really make any difference what you kind of use on it. It's going to give a reaction, a more subtle reaction. Now, I put this worm with the tail because I like to see the tail wriggle a little bit more when I do it. It gives a nice reaction. But a bass will come up, get hooked. The hook is totally exposed. It's like, again, you don't necessarily fish it in reeds, but you can fish it over rocks. The other thing is you use a hook or a rate that will slide out of the line. That way you can not only can you adjust it on the line, when it comes to hooked up, to get hooked into the rocks or something, you can pull that off and not lose your whole setup. Line would just slide through the bait, put another bait on, and away you go. But it's called the drop shot. So if you don't have this in your arsenal already, think about putting it in your getting it in your tackle box. It's something you should have on those finesseful times when the fish are finicky and you know where they are.